So we're here in the old city, getting ready to head down to the city of David, check out some of the ruins and some of the really cool things you can see here. So today I'm just kind of exploring a little bit. I'm on my own, my wife is resting, not feeling real good. But you can see some of the old city walls. In fact, if you look real close, you'll see all these little scars and pock marks there. That's actually marks of the 1967 Six-Day War when Israel took over East Jerusalem. So yeah, you can actually see signs of the fighting around here on several of the buildings. It's interesting and almost kind of frightening. But we're actually heading down. I'm going to go down to what's called the City of David. It's down by the Temple Mount and some of the ruins there, the Pool of Siloam, the southern steps of the temple, and you can hear the traffic and everything else. One thing when you're walking around Jerusalem, always have water. It's a cool day, it's like 53 degrees and it's rained, but it will dehydrate you fast. So drink your water, and yeah, we're gonna head on down and take a look, see what we can see. Give you a little closer look at some of the marks here. You can see the chips out of the corners of the building and the marks that are up there. So yeah, lots of fighting happened here. We are actually going to be heading down, and if you look close, you can see little marks up on that building as well. But we're going to be heading down this direction, and like I said, doing some exploring and seeing some of the old walls. Now these walls here, they're old, but they're not that old. If I remember right, these were actually built by the Mamluks, the Ottomans. They're several hundred years old, but they don't date all the way back. And I'm watching my step here because I don't want to fall on camera. But you can kind of see these go around the old city, surround it, and we're going to head right on down that direction. One thing to be aware of when you're walking around Jerusalem, many of these stones and walkways are old, and you can see this is a little wet because it was actually raining even an hour ago. It's slick. I'm having to walk very careful because it's very easy to slide right on down the hill. And you'll find that with a lot of the old paving here because it's hundreds and in some cases over 1,000 years old. There's places you can walk here that the stones have been there for 2,000 years. So you got to be careful because they're worn smooth. So where I came from right there is the Jaffa Gate. Jaffa Gate, depending upon accent. Now when there's tourists in place, this area here will be hopping later in the day. But it's morning, it's not quite there yet. But as you come in, you can see there's lots of shops right in here. And then this actually goes right down into one of the big shopping areas. It gets pretty busy hopping later on. We're going to kind of walk around that a little bit. A place right up here where it says Christian Information Center, Christ Church. That's the very first Protestant church that was built in Jerusalem. So it is up there. This is actually called the Tower of David here. But we're going to be heading down to the other side and kind of walk through. So this is the Armenian Quarter here. It's actually the smallest quarter. And you can see narrow streets. Got to be careful where you walk. But what the Armenian Quarter is known for is these handmade dishes and the artwork. Just beautiful stuff. But we're going to continue walking on down this way. So here's a look at these old walls and fortifications. You see the stairs going up to the top. The arrow slits. Which gives you an idea of the timing. And then going all the way back to the corner. Yeah, this is a parking lot now, but you can tell it used to be central to the defense. If these walls could talk. And then as we walk down here, the side path, there is the Temple Mount coming into view. Now I gotta be careful because these steps are slick. But you can see there's some music, so there's something going on. more than likely a bar mitzvah or bat mitzvah, something like that. So we'll see what we can find out. Sounds like they're playing dreidel, dreidel, dreidel. And there you go. Yes, it's a bar mitzvah. That's why the 13th's in the band. And right down here by the Western Wall. How cool. But see, they've got a pretty good party still. So you have that. And then you've also got this here. So we're going to be having some fun. So we have a bar mitzvah. And then it looks like we may have a marriage as well. Right on the opposite side of the gate. And again, this is all right in the shadow of the Temple Mount, the Al-Aqsa Mosque, the Dome of the Rock, and then the Western Wall is right there. And we're all gathered right in the middle of it. So now that we've finally made our way through the 3 bar mitzvahs and the wedding, this is the Dung Gate here. The Western Wall is right on the other side of it. And I am actually heading down. You can see Al-Aqsa there. And you can see the ruins. I'm going to go check those out later. But where I am actually heading is right down here. And this is called the City of David. And we're going to see what we can find out there and if we can get in. As I walk slowly down this slick hill, you can see the tour buses coming. Now again, Israel's closed to outside tours, but that doesn't mean the Israelis themselves don't take a lot of tours. So we will see what happens here. There is our City of David. Doesn't look like much, but let's go in. And here's the actual entrance. I'll let you in. Now Hezekiah's tunnel is down here. And so much more. So we're going to go check in and see what we can do. There's several things to note here. You've got the cafe, basically a little snack bar. There are bathrooms and changing rooms there because Hezekiah's tunnel is here, and I'll tell you about that in a second. There's also a very nice gift shop, an expensive gift shop. But one of the things that you can do here is you can actually walk through Hezekiah's tunnel. It's a tunnel that was carved out 2,600 years ago to bring water into the city when it was under siege. And this is the entry, and you can see, yes, there's still water in it, and yes, it really is that high. We are going to kind of wander around a little bit, and you can see you've got a couple different things here. The Royal Acropolis, the water system, and we're going to kind of let you just browse. There's all sorts of ruins and things here to poke at and prod at and take a look at. This is one that's easy to get lost in. Look at that view of the city. Okay, we got the mask off now because we're not in a populated area. This is the way to the King's Courtyard. And again, I'm just going to kind of wander and see what we turn up here, because there's all sorts of different things to look at. This is off to the Royal Acropolis, the water system, Warren Shaft. And again, try to give you an overview. I was able to get the mask off. Israel does require masks in any place that is indoors, on public transit, and generally if you're around people. But you can kind of get an idea. Beautiful right now. And again, it's been raining a little bit, but we've got a whole little display area down here that we will check out. One of the things that's also really cool, one, they give you nice looking tickets, but the maps here, every national park gives you a free brochure. But the one here for the City of David is crazy. Here, it actually folds out, and let me fold this up where you can see it. It is a massive map. It's really cool. Okay, so when you take the tour, It starts right here. It's a little hidden and then goes down. And actually this is going to work good because it's starting to rain again. So we're going to head on down into the biblical city of David. And this gives you a wonderful up-close look at many of the ruins and archaeological excavations and the work that has been done here. And this is amazing. Now again, much of the information about it is contained in your brochure. So you want to have that with you. And then you can see they do have a few signs here too. So these ruins that are down here, these aren't just any ruin. These are special. There's a reason that this place is called the City of David. Because if you look at this sign here, you'll see that there is a good possibility that this was actually David's palace. 3,000 years ago, this would be where King David lived. And it dates back to the right time period. It's in about the right location. And so this very possibly could be where King David was. Now, I have another video that I've done on my Burning Bush channel that talks about the Valley of Elah, which we've visited, where David fought Goliath, and it matches up. So here's another place from David's time that, again, backs up and verifies the biblical account. But that's one of the most amazing things about visiting Israel and Jerusalem is you see these stories that you read in the Bible come alive. And you start seeing maybe they're not just stories. It's amazing when you get to visit it. There is still excavation work going on. And you can see where they're currently working right now. Currently excavating this 3,000-year-old city. But you can see these ancient walls, the old buildings that are here still, that have somehow managed to stay and preserve themselves throughout the centuries. They've excavated, you can kind of get an idea how far down they've dug by looking at that wall there. So that's everything they've had to excavate to get down to this. But it's amazing when you look at it. Okay, so here's also what's nice is they do actually have signs. If you don't want to read your brochure, read the brochure. But they do have signs explaining what everything is. So the center piece here, according to the sign, that right in the middle is 1st century. That would have been, or first temple, that would have been King David's time. Second temple kind of comes around that a little bit closer to us. End of the second temple would have been over here. It describes that as a magnificent multi-level structure in which ritual baths and cisterns were discovered, and which some identify as the remnants of Queen Helena's palace. Again, some identify it. You've got on the outside edges, up there along those walls, you can see the little windows, these walls. That would have been a Roman era via. Yeah, just multiple levels, multiple structures, all in one spot, built right on top of one another. So one of the things I think of when I look at something like this, yeah, I mean, you look at how much they've discovered, and they're still excavating. And you can see the mix of the modern. This they've plastered over probably to help make sure it doesn't slide and collapse, especially on wet days like this. But how much further does it go back here? How much more could there be under there? But they can't dig under there. Why? Well, because there's houses right on top. And the people living in those homes probably are not going to appreciate them digging under their property. So they're able to excavate here because this actually at one point was a parking lot. Nothing on top. But yeah, it gets a little trickier when you start trying to excavate under other things. But that's part of the reason why it looks the way it does. They've dug down, they've shored up those walls, and found so much. I mean, you look at these walls, how thick they are. That's a fortification. That's meant to fight off an attack. And you can see it kind of continues up that direction. So the amateur archaeologist in me is like, well, how can you tell the difference in some of these layers and, you know, the age? So look at the construction. You can see the way the walls are built there with, you know, odd-shaped pieces of stone that are kind of fitted together and everything. And then you come over to this arch here, and the whole design of the rock around it and the way they've laid it in place and then built the arch is different. And you go from there, so those are different eras. And then you swing around to the Roman era and look at these square blocks cut neatly and uniformly and fitted together with a lintel over the door. And that's one of the ways that you can tell, besides how far down. But just the construction methods are different in different eras and will give you keys as to when things were built. Plus, if you look at the Roman era stuff, you can see at the base of the one column there, two columns actually, right at the corner of the tent. And the way they're carved. So yeah, just the different building styles will give you a key, a clue. Hope you get a clue. There's also another way to recognize the different time periods besides just the style of the walls, and that's right here. Oh look, it's a mosaic, and you can tell by the styles that you can date those pretty easily. So this one also dates to the Roman period. And just amazing to think how much is there. They actually found in the oldest ruins there, they found a stamp that says Natamalek, aid to the king. He's actually mentioned in the Bible as the chamberlain to King Josiah. So 7th century BCE, so you're looking right there about 2,600 years old. That's pretty cool. So we can go back to the visitor center, or we can go to the large drainage tunnel entrance. I hope it's not a bathroom. That'd be bad. Sorry. But we're going to head on downstairs and see what all we can see. And alas, when you come down here, additional entrance fee applies. Please stay to your right. And I am going to go over to the Davidson Center, but I'm going to go back and poke at the gift shop and stuff too. So we will have to come back down this way and maybe just walk back up this access. That's what it looks like. A little on the narrow side. We'll come back up. And as the Muslim call to prayer starts ringing out, here's a little look at the excavations going on right now. Trying to break up the more modern rock to get down to the ancient. You see them filling up the buckets and sorting as they go. Yeah. Archaeology, it's dirty. So there's a little look at the city of David. Now, there's a lot more here as well. This is where the entrance to Hezekiah's tunnel is, and you can walk all the way through that. They've got a 3D movie. They have a spectacular night show here as well, which unfortunately I can't show you during the daytime, and several other things as well. So that's just a little glimpse of some of the things that are here. The basic entry for what I did comes out to about $7.50, $8, translated in shekels, of course, and then everything else is an extra fee. But if you're going to be in Jerusalem, this is definitely a place worth visiting. Now, I'm actually going to head out from here back up towards the Temple Mount to a place called the Davidson Center. It has access to the southern ruins that are just offside the Temple Mount, where Gamaliel used to teach, where the early church used to preach. And we're going to go check out the exhibits there.